new Far Cry Extraction Shooter looks to be in the works. Skull and Bones has yet another release window, and how Microsoft are trying to stop Redfall from ever happening again. I'm Ash Dixon, and this is GINX News. Remember a few weeks ago when Unity suddenly announced new fees for developers and nearly destroyed the whole business in the process? Well, a new report dives into why exactly that clown fiesta went down, and apparently the whole thing was rushed out. You don't say. And essentially, the changes were an attempt to squash a rival tech company called AppLovin. It's basically a platform that allows developers to manage and optimize the monetization of its mobile games. Well, Unity have their own version called Level Play, and the plan was to waive or discount the new runtime fee if clients made the switch. One developer literally described it as an attempt to kill AppLovin. Also adding pressure to the situation was the company's long-term profitability issues and its tumbling share price. And that's where the terrible runtime fee idea came from, which ironically only made things worse. Now, according to the report, there was strong resistance to the idea from within the company. Apparently, before the announcement was made, a very large group of senior Unity managers met to discuss the changes, and well, one source says half of the people in that meeting said that this model is too complicated, it's not going to be well received, and we should talk to people before we do this. We were told Unity had spoken to people, but they didn't tell us who. It felt very rushed. We had this meeting and were told it was happening, but we were not told a date. And then before we knew it, it was out there. And we all remember how extremely vocal developers were after that. In fact, it was kind of unprecedented. I've never seen so many companies refuse to mince their words in public statements. And according to this new report, things were just as bad behind the scenes. Apparently, one major mobile game publisher, one of Unity's biggest clients, met with former CEO John Riccitiello himself and said, and I quote, "You, we're not paying." Which, you know, is fair enough considering how manipulative the whole strategy was. Well, that CEO has since quit too, and that basically brings us to today. And it seems Unity now has an even bigger financial hole to fill. Whether their reputation can be restored too, well, I guess time will tell. Yesterday was Ubisoft earnings day, which means we got a whole load of updates from the publisher. However, the most interesting headline comes from Insider Gaming, who are reporting that while Ubisoft Montreal are working on Far Cry 7, they're also working on a second Far Cry title as well. And unlike the next mainline game, it's set to be an extraction-based multiplayer experience. Now, according to the report, this multiplayer game, codenamed Project Maverick, has morphed quite a few times during its development cycle. However, it seems they've settled on the fictional Alaskan setting named Alashnica. Who doesn't love some snow? And in true Far Cry fashion, there'll be a whole load of scavenging the environment in order to survive. You'll hunt animals for leather, harvest plants for medical supplies, and find chemicals to make gadgets. I'm sure there'll also be plenty of weapons and ammo laying around too. And whether you're playing solo or with a team, you'll have a hideout, your own base of operations where you can stash your goods and plan your next move. The game is set to have the expected extraction shooter gameplay loop, much like other titles like Tarkov. Gathering gear, completing challenges, and generally shooting down opponents will level you up, and that enables you to purchase new perks. There's no specifics on what those entail, but overall the game is set to feel very high risk, high reward. Interestingly, the game is rumoured to come out before Far Cry 7, with a rough release date of April 2025 and a planned alpha set in the first half of next year. That wasn't the only Ubisoft news. You see, the infamously delayed Skull and Bones has yet another release window. The pirate game has already been delayed a whopping 6 times, but it seems the current plan is to launch it between January and March of 2024. Now, many people were gagging for a full Ubisoft pirate game after the success of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, you know, back from 2013. But with all the delays, any confidence people had in Skull and Bones has essentially sunk to the sea floor, especially as the game lost its third creative director just last month. But it's not all doom and gloom. A few publications got to try it earlier this year and things sounded generally positive. Elsewhere in the world of Ubisoft, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown are both still on track for December and January respectively. However, one of their big titles, and many suspect it's Star Wars Outlaws, has been pushed into the next fiscal year. Just a couple of weeks after finishing its acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Microsoft is making some changes to the studio structure. In an internal memo, CEO Phil Spencer said Xbox Game Studios head Matt Booty, yes that is his real name, stop sniggering at the back, is being promoted to President of Game Content and Studios. This will put him in charge of ZeniMax and its subsidiary studios, including Bethesda Softworks, id Software, Tango Gameworks, and Arcane Studios. And whilst not directly mentioning it, there's a feeling that this reorganisation is at least in part aimed at helping avoid another Redfall situation endured by Arcane. The vampire-busting multiplayer FPS was one of the biggest bombs of 2023, which is a rather impressive achievement considering we've also had Forspoken, Golem, and Rise of Kong. God bless that masterpiece. A Bloomberg report revealed that employees at Arcane Austin hoped the Microsoft acquisition would result in either a reboot of Redfall or an outright cancellation, but neither happened, and the results spoke for themselves. And 2023 hasn't been the greatest year for Bethesda. Redfall is the obvious blot on the ledger, but even Starfield didn't live up to the pre-release hype. The studio has also lost one of its most significant figures in Pete Hines too, so let's hope this restructuring can help steer the Bethesda ship just in time for the Elder Scrolls 6 to come out in like 8 years' time. Our last story is about EA UFC 5, and I'll admit I'm not the biggest fan of the sport, however, even I'm familiar with the English mixed martial artist Paddy Pimblett. And well, that's partly because he sounds like this.
Mark Zuckerberg, lad, I'm gonna punch your head in. I'm sick of you, lad. You know what I mean?
That's right, he's from Liverpool, although it seems no one told EA, as a cutscene of Paddy in UFC 5 has gone viral. And, well, just have a look.
I wanted to wish you both good luck. Hope everything went well at the PI.
It was incredible, honestly. Thank you so much.
Yep, apparently he's some American dude now, and it's so bad that part of me wonders if we're being tricked here. Perhaps someone started a career mode of a custom fighter that just looks like Paddy, but going by the current Google audience score, it could very much be real. And that's the show. A big thanks to you for watching. A like and subscribe is always appreciated. Check out yesterday's video right here. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.